I very much consider the Ritz card the same exact card as the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Why not get the cheaper card for $100 less? That's just how I figure it, right? Technically, on the Ritz card, it's for airline incidental credits. I actually call them on the phone and I tell them, hey, I have 13 charges from this date to this date that are all travel, and they usually just credit it, whether it's an airline incidental or not. And I've had success with that since 2018.
For all 10 in your family who have a Ritz Carlton card, could they not also theoretically get into the Chase Sapphire lounges as well?
Yeah. As long as they have their priority pass that's been issued from the Ritz Carlton card itself, they can have unlimited access into the Sapphire lounges as well as the priority passes.
Why have a Sapphire Reserve? I mean, why?
Exactly. I've been trying to say that this whole time. Exactly right.
I found somebody, my good friend Key, who actually has 2 Ritz Carlton cards. That's right, not just 1, but 2. And she's going to share a lot of knowledge today. So, Key, how's everything?
Thanks for having me on, Anthony, and really excited to talk about my journey with the Ritz cards.
Appreciate you. So just for everybody, I don't know if you have it in front of you, but just to show the proof that you have 2 Ritz Carlton cards. Do you have them right there?
I have just one of them. The other one is actually
Okay.
in my wallet, but here's item
Uh,
number 1 right here.
Very nice, very nice. The Ritz Carlton card, very nice card. So I have to ask, you've talked to me a lot of different times on live streams, other different things. You've been able to use some of the credits in some, maybe not so common ways. You actually pay for all your flights with the Ritz Carlton card because they have like immaculate insurances that you've actually used. So I just kind of wanted to go through the start of your journey with the Ritz card. How exactly did you get it? Why did you get it? How did this all start? Because I know you have an interesting inception with this card, right?
Yeah, 100%. So my journey with this card began in 2018. I first applied for the Marriott card that Chase offered. It's no longer offered today, but I think it's probably the equivalent to the Boundless card. At the time, I needed some of the points because I was planning to do a road trip from Napa Valley all the way down to San Diego, California. So needed those points. Over time and throughout 2018, I became aware that the Ritz Carlton card was going to get discontinued because of the looming merger with SPG and Marriott. So what I did was I then went ahead and applied directly for the Ritz Carlton card in June of 2018, and ultimately that's how I have 2.
So I guess back in 2018, you had the SPG credit card, which you said is kind of similar to the Boundless. So you're saying you not only applied directly for the Ritz, but then you also did it auto product change you to the Ritz card, your old SPG card, or you did that
Yeah.
manually?
What a good question. Man, it was
Six
a long
years.
time ago. I don't know if it auto converted to the Ritz or if that was something that I did. I have a feeling that was something that I did. And that's something I continue to do. We can kind of talk about that later, how I kind of upgrade and downgrade the Ritz card depending on what's going on for that year. But all that to say, I probably did upgrade to the Ritz card. So that's how I have 2 of them.
So you got the Ritz Carlton card really in a way that most people do not. So you applied directly, which a lot of people who are kind of new to the points of miles game didn't even know that that's possible. I'm sure a lot of people watching had no idea that that was a thing, and or you had some old SPG cards that eventually got product changed to the Ritz. But do you know nowadays, how people typically would get the Ritz Carlton card? Or I guess if you were just getting started and you were like, oh, I want to get my first Ritz Carlton card, do you know like the path that you would personally take, like which cards you would get and how to do that in the first place?
Yeah, I guess before even answering that question more directly, I would argue that it's probably not worth to get a Ritz card just because of the amount of time it takes, right?
Mm.
We already talked about that you cannot apply for this card directly anymore. So unless you're someone that has a Chase Marriott card just around in your sock drawer or wherever you store your cards, in my opinion, I would not wait a year and a day to acquire a card. That in
Hmm.
my opinion, that's something I would not do.
Wow.
But to answer your question more directly, Anthony, the way you get a Ritz card is exactly that. Go to chase.com, hopefully use one of Anthony's referral links down in his description, and grab the link. Once you apply for that, you do have to wait a full 366 days before you're
Mm.
eligible to call Chase. Again, you have to have a limit of $10,000 or more in order to product change to the Ritz card, and 30 seconds at most. They read you the disclosures and then you're done.
Interesting, interesting. So that's the whole process. And I wonder how many people actually do get a little bit stopped out when they try to product change it and try to, like a lot of people typically will get like the Marriott Bonvoy Boundless card. And,
Mhm.
sometimes if you're lucky enough, you can get a really nice welcome offer that came recently where it was like 5 free night certificates after spending like $3,000, something like
Yeah,
that.
that's solid.
But maybe they only have a $5,000 credit limit. So I wonder how many people actually go to product change their Boundless to the Ritz and like, you need 5,000 more, son. Nothing you could do. I guess in that case, what would your advice be? Would you think like ask for a credit limit increase or maybe like apply for another Chase card in that case and move all of the credit limit over to that Boundless to be able to product change or any
Yeah,
thoughts on that?
I mean, I think the folks that probably are watching this video probably have other cards with Chase outside of just this Marriott card.
Hmm.
So Chase is one of the banks that is super easy to move your credit limits around. So I would just, while you're on the call, if you already have another card, let's just say, like a Hyatt card. I think people love the Hyatt card. It's not a card I have, but you could move credit limit. Let's say you needed that $5,000. You can move $5,000 from your Hyatt card to your Marriott card while you're on the phone, and they'll do all of this transaction in one, so you don't have to like hang up and call again.
What things draw you to the Ritz Carlton card that you think some people might like or might want to strive to get it in a year or so?
Yeah, for me is that I very much consider the Ritz card the same exact card as the Chase Sapphire Reserve.
Hmm.
So if you're someone like me that also kind of equates those two cards, then why not get the cheaper card for $100 less? That's just how I figure it, right?
Yeah.
It's almost $600 for the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and it's 450 for the Ritz Carlton card if you don't already have one. So,
Hmm.
in my opinion, yeah, let's do it.
Gotcha. Could you go a little more in depth on that? Because that's interesting. You say that it's like, because the Sapphire Reserve is 550, so $100 more than the Ritz Carlton card. In what ways do you feel like it's like similar or maybe the same card? How do you figure? You think?
Yeah, good point. I mean, it definitely has its differences, but right off the rip, like I just told you about the annual fee. Next thing is that
Mhm.
they're both Visa Infinite cards. So you get the same, kind of concierge services,
Mm,
Visa hotel collection, things like that.
okay.
But then also, right, when we think about the travel credits are equal on both of these cards, $300
Mm,
on the Ritz, $300 on the Sapphire Reserve. And again, we're talking just less of an annual fee on the Ritz card. So,
right.
sure, you're not earning ultimate rewards points, but for me, I think I feel confident in saying that most people, if we're watching, this video or interested in this type of content, like you stay at a hotel one time per year. And that's all I would say the baseline is for the Ritz Carlton card and to
Mm.
have that in your repertoire.
Definitely makes sense. Definitely makes sense. So yeah, you have that that extra, the same $300 travel credit, and then you also have like a free night certificate, which we'll talk about.
Mhm.
But I'm also curious now that you mentioned that. So yeah, it's true. They both have a $300 travel credit, but I think they operate slightly differently. Like I think on the Sapphire Reserve, you could just book something with that at least would code as travel, and
Mhm.
then that you will get $300 back in the form of a statement credit just a little bit later. Does the Ritz Carlton travel car credit actually work the same, or is it different?
That's a fair point. Yeah, so with the travel credit, technically on the Ritz card, it's for airline incidental credits. But
Mm,
just like you and I are having this conversation, I feel like every time I mention this, I've heard of people having wild success having any sort of travel code. So
mm,
definitely your mileage may vary situation. But unlike the Sapphire Reserve, where it just comes off of your statement, you see that credit like almost the next day. The
mm,
Ritz card, you either have to secure message into Chase via the app, or you can call them on the phone. So that's kind of what I do. I actually call them on the phone, and I tell them, hey, I have 13 charges from this date to this date that are all travel, and they usually just credit it, whether it's an airline incidental or not, and I've had success with that since 2018.
interesting, interesting. And I think I don't know if it was you or somebody else, but they said like the people that you talk to at Chase aren't as privy to exactly what should code as a travel charge under the Ritz card. And so that's how a lot of the times you're able to kind of bypass the whole like airline incidental credit that it's supposed to be. And you
Yeah.
can charge things like, I don't know, I'm just assuming like an Uber or something that would code as travel, phone it in, and they're the ones making the decision on like, okay, that is travel, yeah, yeah, or something like that. Is that true or?
Yeah, so my exact thing that I do, let's just say it's the beginning of a new year. So my $300 credit has just reset because it's a calendar year credit.
Mm,
unlike the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which is a card member year credit. So every single
mm,
calendar year, the Ritz card will reset to $300. What I like to do is I start booking my hotels, my airfare, any rental cars, things like that. I just book it right probably the first couple days of January. So January 1st, January 2nd, I usually have a whole bunch of trips lined up already.
mm.
Then at the end of the week or at the end of the month, I usually just call into Chase, the number on the back of the card. My exact script that I use is that I call and I say, I'd like to make sure that you can redeem my travel credit on the charges from January 1st to January 10th. And then I just
Oh.
stop talking.
I just stopped talking. Done.
That's it.
Just click, just wait.
And it's a manually applied credit. So oftentimes they just say, okay, let me put you on hold. And they usually come back with, all right, you're all set. And like I said, I try to use my full $300 credit within that time period of like the first week of January. So like I haven't had an issue. Like I use all my credits right off the rip.
That is so funny, and I love that. I love
And I
you're all
specifically say travel credit. Like you're not gonna get me saying airline incidental credit. Like I'm not,
yes.
those are not words that I commonly say. So
Words to the wise. Don't say,
yeah.
"Hey, can I use my airline incidental fee credit?"
No,
No, just say,
no,
"It's a travel credit," you know?
yeah.
That is so funny. So I'm guessing you've been able to so I guess you personally have been able to do this on, flights or hotels and what have you. It's all,
Yeah. I've gotten
coded.
so many things. Yeah, I've gotten
Wow.
obviously the $5.60 from using points and having the fees and taxes there, but
Mm,
also things like Priceline before. Like I rent
mm,
cars sometimes through Priceline. I've gotten that reimbursed because it technically codes as travel. I've gotten a couple other things. Like I said, it genuinely depends on who you get when you call. But again, you're saying I want to use my travel credit and that's it. And I think it helps by having a diverse set of charges, right? I have everything from
mm.
airlines to rental cars on there. So, I don't know if that helps kind of blend it up.
Gotcha, gotcha. So I guess as a caveat, your mileage may vary depending on the agent that you're talking to, but
For sure.
something to know nonetheless that that is possible, and I love that. What's like the standard way you're supposed to use it? Like, what are you supposed to use that credit on in a normal
Yeah.
case? You think?
I think like seat upgrades, check bags, drinks on the flight,
Hmm.
snack bags or whatever they have on the flights as well. Really anything
Gotcha.
that's not technically your seat. So if you're traveling with a pet or a service animal, that would count, but not your actual seat. So that's
Got it.
technically an airline incidental.
Gotcha. And I'm thinking in my head, there's probably a lot of people watching right now that are probably asking in their minds, they're like, "Well, I have a platinum card and a Ritz card. I didn't know about this whole thing, and I already used my $200 airline incidental fee credit on the platinum card towards United Travel Bank." They're probably wondering, like, "Oh, could I just fund my travel bank with the Ritz Carlton card too?" And that fund, that's $500 a year in United money. But that's probably possible. You
Yeah,
think, right?
that's probably possible. My home airport now doesn't really have United, so I
Mm,
haven't tested that out on the Ritz card. I know that it definitely works with American Express.
yeah.
But like I said, everything in this game involves us like kind of trialing and error. So why not try it and report back? I definitely would be interested in that for sure.
I love it. That's the way I think about this game too. So that's awesome.
And again, that $300 credit is calendar year. So if you're strategic about the way you apply, if we think about triple dip season and all of that, that's kind of
Hmm.
one of these cards that are able to kind of be lumped into this category.
That's a good point. That's a very good point because yeah, if unfortunately we're a little too late now, but had we maybe if I was interested in it, maybe I would have applied for I call it a Marriott Boundless at the beginning of December. So this
Yeah.
way, I would get my card. Okay, cool. Keep it for a full 365, plus
Mhm.
a day. Now I can product change to the Ritz Carlton card, maybe closer to the middle of
Right.
December, something like that. Get my $300 travel credit, use it, enjoy it. And then when January 1st comes back around, okay, cool. Now you have another $300 travel credit. That's giving you like $600 in possible value for that one $450 annual fee. So that's very, very cool. So okay, so that's the so that's a bit of the breakdown. So it's a 450 annual fee.
Mhm.
If you get the right person, very easy to use $300 travel credit
Mhm.
on the Ritz Carlton card. So that's already
Yeah,
bringing our annual fee down to 150, depending on if you word it. And I know
sure.
most people don't care about the effective annual fee thing, but I just think in my head like, oh, how are we recouping the cost of our membership card, something like that.
Mhm.
And then what else do you have on this card that kind of like makes it so that you have two of them. It must be valuable if you have two Ritz Carlton cards, right? So what else does this card come with that you like on it?
Yeah, the only other notable thing is the 85,000 point certificate that you get each year that you hold the card. So not your first year, but every year after that. So that's another, huge win. So if we want to put a $150 value on that, I think that's relatively easy to do with Marriott hotels. Yeah.
And then unfortunately, yeah, you do have to wait a year to be able to use that 85K Marriott free night certificate. So how do you feel about that certificate? Is it very easy to use? Is there a lot of hotels you could book with that? Like what kind of experiences have you had?
Yeah, great question, Anthony. So with the 85,000 certificate night that you get with Marriott, very easy to use. I think their website for hotels is probably one of the easiest to use
Hmm.
in terms of just seeing how much a hotel costs per night and just being able to do it yourself. So like if we compare it with Hilton, like with you have the Aspire card, you actually have to call into Hilton to want to use that. With Marriott, not the case. You're just
Hmm.
able, if it's in your account, you're able to just redeem it right on the website. You don't have to talk to any humans if that's not your jam. Definitely a lot of properties. I can definitely share with you. I don't have it up, but I can share with you how I've used it in the past. But um, yeah, very easy to use, and I love it because it doesn't involve really any human interaction.
So that's great. So the ease of use is awesome. But do you have any like specific examples of how you used it over the years since you've had the card, and like maybe some of the hotels you've been to, some of the awesome experiences you've had?
Yeah, I mean, right off the rip, when I first got the card in 2018, I mentioned that I did a road trip from the top of California, the northern tip, down to San Diego, which is very southern.
Hmm.
I think I used probably over 250,000 Marriott points just on that trip because we only stayed at Marriott. So
Wow.
we had, everything from like Residence Inn to one of my favorite hotels was actually one in Newport, California.
Hmm.
This was on a golf course, and it happened to be a PGA stop when we were there. So at the time, having the Ritz card meant you had Marriott Platinum status automatically,
Mm.
and you were able to get access into the lounge. So I actually was hanging out with some of the golfers after they played around the golf, which is pretty sick, pretty sick. One of the more memorable trips I've had for sure.
Do you, before we move on, do you have any other ways that you've used your free night certificate? I know they have a feature where you can top up. So if it's an 85, basically the free night certificate allows you to get an 85,000 or
Mhm.
less free night at a particular Marriott property. But if you have the ability to add 15,000 of your own points on top of that, making it technically a 100,000 free
Correct.
night certificate if you have those extra points. Have you ever done that or? Uh,
Yeah, I actually have. When I've gotten other cards, right, that come with other types of awards, like 50,000, for example. For
mm,
me, I found that 85,000 is a great spot to be at because there's not too many types of hotels above that threshold that I personally am staying at,
mm.
right? When I'm in the 50,000 tier, sometimes I find that I have to always add like 2,000 points or some amount because these hotels are, they're smart, right? They know
Yeah.
people have these certificates, and they want you to use your points. So sometimes those hotels are priced at like 53,000 points per night versus 50. So you have to use those
Interesting.
points to top up. Most memorable, I'll just say in 2024 was
Mm.
I went to Toronto to watch the Toronto Blue Jays play baseball. I stayed at the Toronto Marriott City Center Hotel, and they put me in a room that was in the stadium. So like when I opened my curtains in my room, it was the baseball field.
Wow.
So that had a lot of pros and cons. One of them being I didn't even have like I like going to baseball games, but technically I could have just opened up my window and heard the game from outside. But I actually went around and went to the game. But con of that room is that at night, I've never seen how they break down a stadium after someone's used it. They're
Mm.
using like leaf blowers at like 3 o'clock in the morning, like absolutely crazy.
The
So
worst.
while the room was fantastic, like just know it in your mind, like if you're going for like a concert or like something like that, that it's gonna be loud all night
Yeah, you're not
because they're playing it up.
sleeping.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
sleeping.
Yeah.
Hopefully like the windows that you can see the stadium are bulletproof. Like I don't want to play baseball fly through the hotel room at midnight. That would suck.
Yeah, can't confirm, but I did not go home with any souvenirs, so, I
Okay.
guess that's good for
Right.
it.
That is so funny. I know one of the other special superpowers that some people still are unaware of the Ritz Carlton card is you get unlimited authorized users
Oh, I
for
forgot.
free.
Oh my goodness, how could I forget? You
Right.
priority pass like crazy. So Yes, absolutely right, Anthony, and I'm I'm glad you mentioned it because I completely forgot.
Me too. Yeah.
Everyone in my family has a authorized user card on my Ritz card account. So yes, you have unlimited authorized users. So it's definitely not uncommon for me to sign someone up in my family or one of my friends for this card just to give them access to Priority Pass. I never give them the credit card, right? But I give them a Priority Pass to run wild with in the streets.
That is so cool. So I guess for those who are unaware, like, yes, you can have free authorized users with the Ritz Carlton card, and all of those people also get their own Priority Pass
Hmm.
membership. Thereby, my grand plan one day I'm going to do it, maybe for like 25K or something. I want to get 100 people into a Priority Pass lounge via somebody's Ritz or my Ritz, maybe if I have it, and we all go marching in there. I think that would be hilarious.
That would be hilarious. Wow, that would be so funny.
Actually have unlimited as per the terms. Who knows if anyone will actually put this in effect, but apparently unlimited. So everybody watching this video, hopefully thousands of people watching, we could all have keys authorized users, we could all march to a Priority Pass one day. I think that we should do that. Actually, I
Let's
think
do
that's
it. I'm adding it to my bucket list. That'd be crazy. Have a wait
right.
list of my own friends just out there waiting.
So they get okay. So for all your authorized users, and how many was that for your family? How many people have authorized users under your
I
family?
think I have at least 10 people that have authorized user accounts, but I kind of lost count at this
10.
point.
Okay, so 10 of them have Priority Pass. For all 10 in your family who have a Ritz-Carlton card, could they not also theoretically get into the Chase Sapphire lounges as well?
Yeah. As long as they have their priority pass that's been issued from the Ritz Carlton card itself, they can have unlimited access into the Sapphire lounges as well as the priority passes.
So then
So
why have a Sapphire Reserve? I mean, why? I mean,
exactly. I've been trying to say that this whole time. Exactly right.
wow, that is
Bingo.
so funny. And I get there's gonna be people watching like 1.5 cents per point through the portal. I get it. I know that's powerful. I get it, but
Yeah.
but
I get it too. I get it too. I don't have I don't have a Sapphire Reserve card because I can't justify it. You're talking to someone that's spending almost $5,000 a year in annual fees, and I can't justify the Sapphire Reserve card. So I hope it means something to say the Ritz card is significantly better than the Sapphire Reserve.
Okay, so that's like a lot of value on the card, or at least the face value
Yeah.
value of the Ritz Carlton card that most people kind of tout. But you do something that I've never really heard people talk about, in which you actually use your Ritz Carlton card to pay for all of the taxes and fees on any of your flights and stuff like that, right? Could you go into that, like why you do that a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So with Chase cards, so specifically the Chase Sapphire Reserve and the Ritz Carlton card specifically, has some
Mm,
of the best travel insurance ever that I've ever seen. Meaning, as long as I pay some portion, so if it's 1 point or even just fees and taxes, anything
yeah.
with the booking, I'm covered under their trip insurance.
Hmm.
So just recently, well, very rather recently, I booked my mom to go back to hometown for a funeral, and
Mm.
on her way back, she experienced some major delays. Because I booked that flight, the $5.60 portion of that flight with the Ritz Carlton card, they actually reimbursed a night in a hotel for my mother,
Oh,
meal, as well as like some personal items. And yeah, I absolutely love it. Like again, I don't want you to ever have to use travel insurance, right? Like that's not the goal, but I want to be covered whenever, right? So that's really why, Anthony, I use my Ritz Carlton card for at least 95% of my flights. And probably more than that. I don't know. I'd have to check, but probably more than that.
99, something like that.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I know we've talked about it on live, but just like redoing it just so
Yeah, yeah.
everybody could hear it. So yeah, that's crazy that sad situation, funeral and everything like that. But very cool that at least something was delayed. It was an even worse situation, but at least the travel insurances seemed to kick in. Was that process easy? Like, did you have to call anybody, or how does that work with like travel delay insurance on those cards?
Yeah, if it's your first time, I recommend calling in, just so they
Mm,
can walk you through all the documentation you need, but ultimately, you can do it 100% on a website.
hmm,
Um, you'll just need your card number, that serves as, like, your access into the site, and then you can drag and drop any sort of documents, right? So, like, what your original flight was or what hotel you stayed at, like, me like a hotel folio, right? The receipt of the hotel, so that way they know how much to reimburse you.
mm.
Um and other things, right? In my case, it was a mechanical delay. So I had to get a note from the airline, and you can do this right on the airline website, just stating
Mhm.
like, flight number 123 was delayed for this many minutes. And I just drag and drop that right into the to the claim as well.
Oh, see, that's awesome to know. So like, so let's say, for example, like it was a Delta flight that was
Mhm.
delayed, something like that. To get that written letter, like a doctor's note, do I just
Yeah.
go on Delta's website itself? Is there like a section for it where you like, is that a chat or something, or
Yeah, you can
maybe?
do whatever. You can chat, or there's like a form you fill out, like a contact us form. And basically you just put in, hey, I need to know why this flight ABCD was canceled or, delayed beyond belief. And they email that to you. I got my letter, I think within 48 hours, which I thought was rather fast.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect. So I think your mileage may vary on that, but super easy to do, super easy process.
And so I guess if you get a written letter from like the airline that's like it's delayed for weather, like I'm guessing is that one that's not included, or are there typical
Yeah,
things
I
that are
don't I
included?
don't wanna misspeak. I think,
Mm,
like, you should always just read the terms and conditions, like, at least just I know it's a long, 30 plus pages, but just, control F into the trip insurance and read through what's covered and what isn't. So at least
mm,
in your mind, you know. But
yeah.
nevertheless, right, even after you're aware of what's covered and what isn't, I think I would still just put it in, and let them decide. At the end of the day, it's a human reviewing this case, and, like I said with the $300 travel credit, maybe you get someone that's like, "All right, yeah, we'll approve that," You never know. So, I'd put it
Right.
in.
Gotcha, gotcha. I think that's very cool. That's good to know that that's how that works because so many people, we talk about insurances, but not very many people actually get to use it. So I think that's
Mhm.
pretty cool. You also were telling me that you used another part of the insurance, an even lesser known insurance that comes on some of these Chase cards, specifically the Ritz, which is a car repair insurance, right? Or how
Yeah.
did that work
What a good
out?
memory. Yeah, we talked about it a while ago. So I don't have AAA membership. Maybe
Mm.
I should, but I just haven't found the need to get it. Um, so with the Ritz card and like I said, the Chase Sapphire Reserve, because they're kind of equals in Chase's eyes as well as my own, you have insurance through them. And I think it's equivalent to AAA. In my opinion, they fix roadside flats, they'll bring gas to you, they can tow your car, to the nearest gas station or EV charger or, whatever you need.
Hmm.
And I think there's a certain amount of miles on that, and that's 4 times per year they'll do that.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
why would I have AAA? So in my case, I have
True.
2 Ritz Carlton cards, I get 8 times per year. You know what I mean?
True, and I think that's $50, each time. I think it, like, allotted, so, like, if it's a tire repair or something, it's, like, 50 maybe I'm
The
bit
tire
better
so
off.
I've had a flat before and I never received a bill. So
Oh,
I don't
really?
yeah, I don't know what the $50 is. It maybe
Huh.
if over a certain amount of mileage or something like that that they're bringing you.
Mm,
I think it's very similar to AAA though in that regard.
really? Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I swear I read that somewhere. It'll be on the screen if I read it,
Okay.
but the fact that I'm sure there's a disconnect between, again, like, who you're talking to or who's receiving these things, so I guess even though it says that, it's like, "Oh, it's a tire repair? Okay, it's reimbursed." That's what our coverage is, right? That's what it says, and, maybe some people don't go really into the fine print. Wow, so you've had that situation happen? Like, what was you had a flat tire?
Yeah, flat tire, and so before people are upset with me, I do know how to change a flat tire, like, I'm not trying to be like a damsel in distress here, but when it's your own tire, I feel like your mind just goes blank, and I don't know why, it went blank, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I have AAA through Chase, so let me just call them
Wow.
and see what happens, see how this works," and they were there. Like, I think it was, like, still a regular tow truck that it would have been
Mm,
probably if it was AAA anyways,
yeah.
um, I don't know how many minutes it took, but like I said, it was very much AAA-like.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say minutes it took, not hours, so it was
Yeah, it
kind of
wasn't hours. Yeah,
fast.
it wasn't hours.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's good to know. For those of you who've had tow trucks, sometimes you do wait hours, and I've waited hours. I think it's good though, like you said, like, you know how to change a tire, but sometimes you don't actually have a tire to change, like, some people don't have a
True.
spare.
I
I
don't have a
need to
spare
buy
anymore.
one. I
Yeah. I don't have a
so,
spare anymore either.
yeah, it's so bad. My car, I have an entire 2-ton jack, but like a industrial one, but I don't have a spare tire. I need to buy one for that situation. So that's really cool. You're able to call. So you called in the back of the car. Did you say like anything specifically, or you just said, "Hey, I have a flat tire. Can you send somebody out?"
No, I just went through the normal prompts. I think they do ask either for like your security word or your card number or whatever.
Mm.
I don't remember what. But at the end of the day, it was just a normal phone call like, "Hey, I'm on the side of the highway. I need I need help."
Wow, that is so crazy. That is so good to know that you can do that. Are there any other insurances that you've ever used or other situations?
Yeah, one other thing is, this is like my go-to premium card, I would say. And because of that, I put my large transactions on this card because there is extended warranty and there is return protection.
Mm,
So, you can use that to your advantage. If something breaks within the warranty period, or excuse me, after the warranty period, I feel like things only break right after the company warranty is limited there. So this will kick in for another year after that. So just give them a call and they'll go through the process with you on what you need to do.
so I have to. You can see my
Oh
hair is
God,
getting crazier and
sorry.
crazier. My hair's getting crazier by the minute that we're talking. I'm just so blown away by the Ritz. Well, look, Key, you are always an insane wealth of knowledge. I always love talking to you. If you guys want to go subscribe, here's Key's channel right here. Just type in Kiki's Adventures and credit cards just to be safe. She's got a million different videos on a lot of high level topics like we talked about just today. So definitely go subscribe if you are not already. But really, appreciate you, Key, for giving me your time today and gracing us with the Ritz presence.
Thanks, Anthony.